going to do is open the ranks to be able to better observe the men as they go through the evolution.
Shoulder arms. And if he doesn't do an arm shift pretty soon, they will start throwing rocks at him. Because your right arm becomes bigger than your left arm. If you leave it there.
Shoulder, arm.
So they're all carrying what's called a 3-band rifled musket. They're different, makes some Springfield, some Enfield.
Yeah, some Springfield, some Enfield.
Right shoulder
And it's
shift.
a rifle musket, and that means unlike
So this position actually goes up to the right shoulder. If they were to be traveling in a double quick or at a dead run, this is the way you carry it. Seems a little counterintuitive, but it's actually a very stable position to be in.
a little bit different, and it makes the tactics that both sides use outdated.
Support,
And you notice a lot of the positions of the musket are using the right arm. That starts to wear that arm out pretty fast. So frequently they would transition over to support arms, which shifts the weight to the left shoulder, left arm.
rest,
Springfield would be 58 caliber.
Very often, if you look at period images, men standing on guard duty would be exactly this position right here.
attention,
Infield's 5.77 caliber, a little bit smaller,
shoulder,
and that was done on purpose
arm,
so that one side couldn't use the other side's ammunition.
secure,
And you
arm,
notice a lot of the positions of the musket, the barrel's facing up. Now, these are muzzle loading weapons, which means any water that runs down the barrel could get to the powder and get it wet. So he's securing the weapons, inverting the piece, and covering the lock with the arm to keep it as dry as possible, holding the ramrod in place with his thumb.
arm, arm, port,
Oftentimes, just before they would commence an attack, they would go to arms port, because the next position would be charged bayonet and would come down.
shoulder, arm, present, arm,
Obviously, they put a position of salute, very similar to what you'll see in modern times.
shoulder, arm,
How many rounds would they carry? of
Order.
ammunition?
40 rounds.
arm,
It could be resupplied at certain intervals.
loaded 9 times,
What
load,
he's going to go through is called loading 9 times. This is how they would teach them step by step by step. First position is they reach back to the cartridge box, pull up a paper cartridge, put the paper tail between the teeth, and when he gives the order to tear it, they'll tear open the cartridge.
cartridge,
They would tear open the cartridge, place it in front of the barrel.
charge, cartridge,
You dump the black powder from pre-measured black powder charge into the barrel and push out the lead ball, lead conical bullet into the barrel.
Keep their hands away
round,
from the muzzle.
draw,
Once the
ram.
musket
The problem is that the ball's sitting at the end of the barrel now, and you need to get it at the bottom of the barrel. So they have to draw the ramrod, place it on the top of the bullet,
round,
and then ram the bullet down to the base of the barrel. Now you've got to return that ramrod because you're going to need it for the next shot.
ram it,
Otherwise you have a glorified stick if you don't have that ramrod anymore.
It was not unknown for men to get excited in combat.
The last step is to prime the piece with a priming cap, a little brass cap with a chemical compound called fulminate of mercury. So when a hammer hits it, it's going to make a spark, ignite the main charge and throw the ball out.
arm,
Now you do those 9 steps for every shot you fire. Now they will be trained to load 9 times.
part,
Then they would transition to loading 4 times, and by the time they were trained, they would simply give the order to load. They would go through all of those steps, on their own.
right, face,
Now, a soldier that's well trained will be capable of getting off a shot every 20 seconds, 3 shots a minute. Now, very often you would not want them to do that because you're only carrying 40 rounds, so you would expend all your fire. So, these are rifle barrels. Right. Occasionally you would have some smooth bores, but they would try to get them all the same as possible. Now, and the weapons get harder and harder to load as more and more fouling builds up in the barrel. Each shot leaves a residue of powder. And so after a time it gets really, really hard to ram the ball down. Now in their package of rounds, every 10th round is a Williams cleaner bullet that has a little washer in it that's spread out and scrape out the bore. Sometimes Confederates didn't always have those available. They were issued on Union rounds all frequently. Did they work? They did work actually, surprisingly well.
And would that fire the same as regular round? I mean, could they fire
It
that
would
at-
still fire. It probably wouldn't quite have the trajectory because it has all those, it's gun drags through it. And all.
It moved from column to
Now,
column.
it's transitioning in the school of the company. Right now he's in what's called a column of 4. The reason that there's 4 men across in the column is that most of the how to get from that column back in the line of battle.
It is
All the way to the back.
military ballet.
You know, going back, column to the line of battle. Two ranks all back in the line. So they would practice going from line to column to line, line to column, in this direction, in that direction, in that direction, because you never know where the enemy is going to come from. And you notice his wheels that he's doing like that. That is vital to maintain an elbow-to-elbow contact. That's the way they maintain their alignment. Now this is a very complicated maneuver because whereas you go in the line of battle normally the same way you started from, but what if the enemy came from the opposite direction? He's got to deconstruct that line of battle and actually rebuild it on the opposite side, facing the other way. It's a very complex maneuver. You see they're doing is pulling the group apart and reassembling it the opposite way. Now you'll never see any of this on movies in Hollywood. I want you to think they just lined up like this, blasted away and charged each other. In reality, there's a lot of movement, a lot of evolutions on the field, and they can react to each other's movements. We also noticed that behind the line is a shell of rank. You've got officers and non-commissioned officers. So even if you had an inclination to run, there's no place for you to go. When you turn around, they put you right back to where you came. You'll watch the column before, then they start to swing up. A regiment would consist of 10 companies of infantry, 1,000 men on the field. This is a small company. Someone calculated that if you were coming up this road with a full-size regiment, 1,000 men, they call it 4. And in the appeared over there, and I wanted to go into line of battle, bring all those companies up on the line. The man in the rear of the column would march a quarter of a mile before he ever arrived in the line of battle. Now, that's one regiment. It is somewhere around 5 regiments to a brigade, about 3 to 5 brigades to a division, and about 3 divisions to a corps. You might put a corps on both sides. Trying to get an idea of the scale.
Husband, after 6 months, got tired. He said, I'm running he went to a circus. He said, I don't know this, but everybody wanted to hear by whatever.
Could be. The only problem is he's got multiple drummers from multiple units that can begin to step on each other.
Comes to see
So that's
the
why most of the time in battle,
and
this
he
is
says,
done for drill.
Colonel, I need to go
In
too.
battle,
He says,
the
well, son,
drummers
you can't go
would
to
unsling their drums, the fifers would put the
Step
fifers
into
in
your
the
tent. I
haversacks.
want to show you
They would
something.
assist the stretcher bearers attending to the wounded on the field. The
And
buglers
he
would
came
actually
back out a
take
few
up
minutes
the main-
later and said to his adjutant, you need to write her orders to be gone from the Keith and Melinda, they were from the mountains. Now, that's absolute, as far as other circumstances.
All these commands are being given by voice. Generally, behind the line, you'd have the colonel, lieutenant colonel, and a major, which could be mounted, although if the fight got really hot, that would not be a place to be up above everybody else. It was a way to communicate back and forth. The lieutenant colonel major would command the right and left wings, and I would command the entire battalion line. But it becomes very difficult to do voice commands. That's where the colors become very important. They're right in the center of the line, surrounded by a color guard. And as the colonel, I would command the colors to go forward, to retreat, to do whatever I wanted them to do, and everyone else watches the colors. The captains on the flanks probably can't hear what's going on in the center. So as a captain on the right flank, I would be watching the colors. If the colors advance, I move forward. If the colors withdraw, I fall back. If the colors disappear, I panic. I don't know what's happening. It's why the colors are a psychological anchor for everybody. That's why the colors can never run and never leave the field, because everyone will go with us. So you pick the best man for the whole regiment to be the color bearer, because they don't even return fire. They stand there and receive the whole thing with the colors in the air, knowing full well that they're probably likely to be concentrated fire on them. They're going to be preparing to fire the weapons as we're going through the whole 9 steps for each day to command the load.
In excess of 500 batteries. Every artillery battery had around 70.
You begin to see just the kind of speed that they could actually go through.
Plus there's over 14,000 cavalry. Their horses. wagons that are pulling ammunition, food, everything you think of underneath like horses.
How long have most of these
And
been
if
in
you're
this?
charging an artillery,
Well, we've got some that go back 3 decades or more, 4 decades, but then we got some that this is their first event.
there's a number of ways to fire.
And he's going to fire what's called a company volley, both front and rear rank at the same time.
That's 40 minutes.
Now, every movie you ever watch, that's what they do. Because they've got 6 camera angles and they want to show you all 6.
We
But
have been the reenactment.
in reality, it was meant to be a single boom with one wall of lead at chest height crossing his feet. That packed quite a wallop but it hit the enemy line.
They're loading.
Now, the only problem with a volley is everybody is fired at the same time. Now, typically in a regiment, alternating companies, you could fire the whole battalion at once, but that was somewhat rare. You would alternate. But that is one of the vulnerabilities of the volley.
It's loaded at all times. He's going to fire
You also
everything.
notice the rear rank men fire between the heads of the front rank men. So the weapon's coming right beside your head on both sides.
Right next to your ear.
Most of the muzzle blast is in front of you, so
Yeah.
it's not quite as bad
And
as
you
it might
load on command. You don't just,
He does have alternatives. You don't have to fire a volley of both ranks at the same time. You can fire the rear rank and then fire the front rank separately. So one's loaded while the other one is fired.
So they didn't use the tactics or one line like this down.
We used to have a unit that was attached to us that had artillery with it.
You'll see that a
In our
lot.
day and age, most artillery units are
Here
separate.
they're firing the rear rank. You see how the musket
Got your rear rank firing and the front rank's waiting.
You'll see that usually when one rank kneels down. You see that a lot in the Revolutionary War with British infantry, because that was the old heavy infantry model. They had 3 ranks. The only way you could fire that way is to drop one rank down. Otherwise, the men in the rear rank would blow the heads off the men in the front rank. One puck. Now they were trained to aim at the knee. The reason being is if you were to film this in slow motion and watch it, the barrel will actually slightly rise as the recoil
It's based on
takes
the
place
idea
with the
of
weapon.
trying to mash
And the
fire.
ball's traveling at a slow enough speed that it will slightly rise a little bit. So if I aimed at your chest, I might very well shoot above your head. But if you
Do
aim
that,
at the knee, it's
to
going
mass
to
command and
impact
keep
at
them
chest
together,
level.
and then fire upon command. Now, eventually they're going to fire.
Now,
about 5
most of the fighting occurred at about 100 yards apart.
firing back
The
then.
effective range of
You
these
can
things
fire,
is
remember,
300 yards.
2 men, 2 men,
They can kill
2
in
men,
7
2 men.
minutes. What it's called right now is called fire by file. You saw the vulnerabilities of firing volleys when you have to wait between loading. This one generates a constant rate of fire. Every company down the whole line is doing this at the same time. So there is no way for the enemy to advance without being fired on. They're constantly receiving fire. So this is what you can see most commonly. If you were at this battle, that's what you would hear most of the time going on all over the series.
They just shoot until they get ceasefire.
You can see just how the fast-paced firepower. This is a small company. And look how fast they're able to generate shots coming out of this. Imagine a 1,000-man regiment with their capable.
Another 20 and a haversack. And when you hear a battle,
By this point in the
somebody
war,
fired
most
so
of these
many
regiments were veteran
all of
regiments
their
that seen
ammunition in one
combat.
spot in a small
And they
amount of
knew
time.
how to hit what they were
That's
aiming for.
really, really hot place. If you think about all the fights up here at Gettysburg and all the lead that went into the ground and is still in the ground,
Now, if it happens to be like summertime and it's humid and it's early morning and it's foggy, not only is it bad to begin with, the more you fire, that adds to it. And it gets thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. It got to the point where you could not see a few feet in front of you. And it's just flashes coming out of the fog. The one thing you hope you don't hear is the big boom of the artillery, because then you'll have these shell fragments and shells coming out of the fog.
like it's going to fire another volley. During the battle? you got it. Until you ran out
Fort
of ammo
Pickens
or
charge.
everybody
See it right here,
retreated
Fort
or
Pickens
got
charge.
killed.
They get across the
The, but we call it the Pettigrew Pickett Trimble II. We were in General Pettigrew's command, and he doesn't get any credit for being in there. And there were more North Carolinians in that charge than there were Virginians. So Pettigrew is it's the Pettigrew Pickett Trimble.
So was Armistead from North Carolina originally, or was he from South Carolina?
Such a short amount of time.
South Carolina.
I'm not saying short, consider some of the places.
He had General Trimble's command, General Pettigrew's command, and General Pickett's command. All three. Trimble being
Now
in
he's
the rear
cramming
position,
clear to make sure nobody's
Pettigrew on the left and Pickett on the right.
where you just put a cap, a little percussion cap. This is what causes this weapon.
But if you go over to the stone wall and the wall returns back like that over the tops of trees, there's a small marker in the bend of the wall, and that's the 26th North Carolina. They planted their colors on the wall, on the reverse side of the wall.
Explosion coming out of somebody's musket. Now you're about to have a little bit of a treat.
What we're going to do now is give you a little bit of a treat.
Years ago,
We're going to have them fixed bayonets,
a recording from 1939.
and
A veteran
we're going to do a charge across the field,
WC radio.
and we're going to recreate the rebel yell. Now you probably think you've heard that, but it turns out it was all wrong all these years. Everybody thinks it's a real yell and everything. Fortunately, our unit in a couple of years was able to start recordings of Confederate veterans, old men, doing the rebel yell.
So it's
Turns
sustained
out they all sound
kind of
alike.
yell.
It's all this kind of a yip, 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 yip kind of a sound.
Maybe
You heard the Indian war hoops from some of the old movies? It sounds a lot like that.
control it as you walk.
You can do that in a sustained march. Maintain that over a long period of time.
First time we ever did it on the battlefield with a large unit.
The 26th North Carolina came in with about 860 men. They were the largest regiment in the Army known as Virginia. They would lose over 600 on the first day. On July 4th, 76
Stonewall
men.
Jackson attacked the flank of the Federal Army with 25,000 men. He rolled up several corps of the Union Army, and when it got dark and they couldn't fight, the Confederates put up a rebel yell. That ran
They're going to do the rebel yell.
about a mile and a half.
Wait, are they gonna charge?
Started on one end of the line.
They're getting ready.
Where's the
other end,
Union?
There's no union here.
And there were a number of Federals.
They're fixing bayonets. They're putting on the
Say that
bayonet.
that was the most frightening sound that they had ever heard, and many of them
Are they gonna like pretend to die?
printable things about it. Stonewall Jackson called it the sweetest music he'd ever heard on earth. It's scary.
Guys,
When
turn
you get a
around. Look at me.
large number of men coming at you
Oh,
doing
Pierce.
that,
Pierce.
the first impulse is to, let's back up.
Stop, nothing.
Right dress, right dress. Right dress. Bring it up, boys. Bring it up.
Imagine 25,000.
Right.
And who were also actively trying to kill you.
I'm fit.
Wait, I'm going to show them for Ray.
I can guarantee
You
you
got
that will
FaceTime me.
make you want to run.
FaceTime me.
And there were accounts of Confederate troops coming through woods like this, and running ahead of them were all the deer and the fox and everything else that were in their path, scouring through the Union lines. So,
They're smart enough.
but what you can't really hear from this angle is there is a sound wave that precedes this thing that suddenly spikes as you're a certain distance. You'll actually
They're showing
feel
us
it
how it is.
before you actually receive
When
it.
they first put this into the
Imagine if that's what 35 men can do. Imagine what thousands
and
can
they
do.
can't see it.
For
It's made by a unit that was back in the loop. And but you hear it still in.
Mark.
And one of the guys on the video.
That's how they charge. Okay, I'll call you back later. I'm
The
gonna take
guy
this
on the
away.
video says, it's
By the
26
left
North
flank. Mark.
Carolina. He's right.
Double up. By the right flank. Mark.
Line about.
Line about to the front. Line about to the front. Oh. Order. Turn. In place. Rest.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 26th and 6th North Carolina. Now, you all are free to hang around and ask some questions, and there'll be